this one. 9 laps, as you said earlier, 20 corners on each lap. That makes it pretty tough for all of them, but it also makes it quite hard to break away because you're constantly stopping and starting.
2 groups become 1. Huge numbers in this group. Everybody taking care on the tight turns. Now, is anybody going to make a move? Somebody's having a little look at the front and opens up a gap of a couple of seconds. Don't know who it is. It's certainly not Alistair Brownie. It's not the British colours. Somebody has had a little go at the front of the field and fancies moving it along. So far, nobody's responded. There's a little bit of looking and wondering if anybody's going to respond. But at the moment, Martin van Riel, number 17 from Belgium, has the track all to himself out in front. It's unusual that a single rider would break away and would maintain that lead, but Martin van Riel has taken it on and is winning so far anyway.
Well, that's great to see, isn't it? Really nice to see someone putting in a great effort. Martin obviously is thinking, I don't want to wait till the 10 kilometres run, with the likes of Alistair Brownie, of course, Mola and Gomez in there as well. But certainly giving it a bit of a go at the moment. 11 seconds now, the gap over the chasing pack.
Now, this is a brave move from Martin van Riel. You see the Union Jacks come up and the names of the remaining British racers alongside, and I'm pleased to report they're all in this front group, with Martin van Riel out on his own, leading the race. The young Belgian, number 17. I think he's enjoying himself out there, a moment in the spotlight. He's got a bit of under-23 form, but this is his first moment to shine at senior World Triathlon Series level, and he'll get to eyeball the rest of them, including the world and Olympic champions, coming in the opposite direction now. A look over from Alistair Brownie towards Martin van Riel, and here he is, our leader. Martin van Riel from Belgium has taken this race on.
Really is stomping down on the pedals, not a very high cadence there, more a strength athlete, really pushing a big gear, as you said there as well, Matt. 5th in the World Under-23 Championships last year, and the first time he raced on the World Triathlon Series was in 2013 in Kitzbühel.
He's got no one for company, and the gap is growing all the time. I wonder if Martin van Riel's strategy might pay off and potentially bring him a personal best result at World Triathlon Series level. There's a little bit more urgency coming into the ride now. Alistair seems to be feeling a little stronger, and he's decided to take it on at the front. He's moved to the head of the field, and Martin van Riel's break is now being taken seriously as a couple of guys try to close down the Belgium. Alistair's joined by Dorian Connix at the front. Alistair has clearly just worked through the discomfort. We're back with the leader now. He's got a 14-second lead over the chasers, Martin van Riel. He looks pretty comfortable out in front. Lap 7 of 9, no change. Van Riel still out in front. And a huge group of riders with a now smiling Alistair Brownie, I'm happy to report, engaged in conversation with one of the other British triathletes. They're probably discussing the surprise breakaway from Martin van Riel.
It's like having a bit of a Sunday ride now, isn't it? It's unusual for Alistair to be in the pack there with some of his fellow teammates he trains with up in Leeds. And there we have the shot of Martin out there again, also looking pretty relaxed, but working really hard. And that lead now up to around about 15-16 seconds.
Well, Martin van Riel is certainly turning heads here as he comes to finish another lap out here on this 40k bike section. Good viewpoint from the top of the Yokohama Marine Tower this afternoon. A few up there watching the race from on high. And look at the gap now. No further riders to be seen. Here comes the first of them. Somebody else has had a little breakaway. 16, 17, 18 seconds. Martin van Riel seems to have widened the gap even further with 2 laps to go. He could go into transition at the end of the ride with a gap of 30 seconds or possibly more and give himself a real chance heading out onto the 10,000 meter run.
Yeah, with no disrespect to Martin, I think He's going to need more than 30 seconds to stay away from quite a lot of these guys, Brownlee, Mola, Gomez, but he's certainly doing a great job, and hey, why not?
There's a bit of panic here. Oh, somebody's gone down. We've lost Connix, the Frenchman. He took somebody out with him as well, and they're frantically trying to clear. It was Jared Shoemaker who came into contact with Dorian Connix, and Connix's chain has come off to add insult to injury as he desperately fumbles to try and get it back on, and no, he hasn't quite succeeded yet. Bit of a mess for Dorian Connix, and his race could be over. Back to the front now, and this is the man, Martin van Riel, who's taking in some refreshment, some carbohydrate gel of some kind. He has a gap of 30 seconds. He's on his final lap. The chase group with number 29, Joe Malloy. They'll all be contemplating their next move now. It will require possibly an explosive start to the 10K run, because Van Riel will arrive in transition and will leave comfortably ahead of the rest of the pack. And he's obviously enjoying the moment now, but he's showboating, showed us his tongue, showed the motorcycle camera his tongue, and now he sets up for the end of this final lap. He'll just need to unclip his shoes, prepare for transition. Martin Van Riel, oh my, no, goodness me! Martin Van Riel has gone down seriously hard on his backside, within sight of his little moment of glory leading the World Triathlon Series race. That has got to hurt. He hit the deck really hard. He's picked himself up and he's bravely continuing, and that little bit of showboating to the camera may well have been premature, because he's now limping in to transition and he's lost a huge chunk of that lead he worked so hard for. Oh, what a shame. Martin Van Riel will come in with the rest of this group pretty much. One error on the final turn into transition might have cost him the chance for a personal best result. He may not even finish here. He's clearly done some damage. Able to, actually, that's a little more encouraging. He's able to run on the carpet towards his bike position in transition, but he will be hurting mentally and physically after that needless error. Skuman and Brownlee are in. Mola and Canute. Arilos is in. Polyansky, Knabel, Alaza, Royal, away they go, and here goes Gomez with Vanek of Hungary for company. How far behind is Alistair? Still looking, there he goes, on the right of screen. Alistair Brownlee going through, Courtney Atkinson as well. Well, you feel very, very sorry. I would imagine it's a rather embarrassed Martin Van Riel, who will now be leaving transition after that crash.
Yeah, looked like he came down really, really hard. Don't know what happened. I think he probably clipped his pedal just as he went round the corner then, and that was so unfortunate. He had the transition within sight, just getting his shoes out of the pedals. But I think he's going to be in a little bit of pain on this run.
Javier Gomez leads the way, yet to win a World Triathlon Series race this season. Mola won the first in Abu Dhabi, Jonathan the second in Auckland. In the Gold Coast, it was Jonathan Brownlee again, with Alistair taking the last race in Cape Town, with Alistair clearly not at 100%, or so it would seem when he was on the bike. Maybe this is Gomez's best chance to get his first win of the season as the world and Olympic champions. Alistair Brownlee and Javier Gomez lead the way at the front of the field. Alistair looks full of running now after the discomfort he was in on the bike. He seems to have put that behind him. Sven Rieder, the Swiss veteran, is up there as well, and Mario Mola in that front group of four.
Yeah, I have to say, Alistair looking really, really fresh and light on his feet at the moment, but still quite a lot of running to go. Only in the first kilometre now. Alistair looking a little bit hot, but that's kind of normal for him. We're used to seeing him looking a little bit red in the face. The other athletes perhaps a little bit more tanned, having been training in some warmer climates.
Sven Rieder struggling with the pace as Brownlee leads Mola and Gomez through. These two with a motorcycle at the front and a motorcycle behind to cover the action. And Rieder is rocky and rolling there. He really can't keep up that pace. Adam Bowden looks good though. He's a good runner, Bowden. And Mark Buckingham, is that Buckingham just behind Bowden? Yes, the two British triathletes shoulder to shoulder now coming through this turn. They've gone past Sven Rieder and they now have the lead group of four in their sights. So Mola, Gomez and Hernandez. Mola looks full of running, doesn't he? Very light on his feet, Mola, with that familiar white visor. He's bouncing along. They get the soft carpet underfoot in transition at the end of the first lap of 4, and the gap to the next group is about 6 seconds. Adam Bowden and Mark Buckingham from Great Britain in good shape here this afternoon. And there's a definite drop in pace when you go further back through the field to Bailey, and Lars is a little off the pace today. Normally we'd expect to see him closer to the front, and Hernandez has gone. He's been dropped by the front 3, so it's 3 of the best 4 in the world right now. Gomez, Mola, Alistair Brownlee, and the rest of them, including the 2 other British triathletes, Mark Buckingham and Adam Bowden, potentially looking for a place in the top 5 as Mola moves it up another gear.
Yeah, Mark Buckingham, great running pedigree, 4 times national fell running champion. He was on a scholarship in Florida for running, but suffered a few stress fractures and injuries. There we have him in the picture again. Thankfully took up cycling and has gradually moved up the ranks in triathlon. He is in Leeds. He trains with the Brownlee brothers. So this is a fantastic position to see Mark Buckingham in right now. 13
seconds off the pace of the leading 3. Mark Buckingham potentially heading for a top 4 finish here this afternoon. This is familiar, isn't it? Brownlee and the 2 Spanish boys, Mola and Gomez.
Yeah, I like to watch Mola race over 10 kilometres. We know that he's so strong over the 5 kilometres. The 10 kilometres just sometimes tests him a little bit. Right now though, 2 laps down, 5 kilometres gone, and he's still very much in contention.
Mark Buckingham on his own coming through transition. Looking around maybe for one of his coaches. Adam Bowden is a further 6 seconds back. Bowden's got a few for company now, including Grajales of Mexico in the green. He's an improving triathlete.
Yeah, he really is. This year we've seen him finish 9th in Cape Town, and then he got an 8th place in Auckland, and I'd say this is the most consistent we've seen him. Been racing since 2003, 28-year-old from Mexico, but looking very, very strong there with Sven Rieder, the former bronze Olympic medalist.
Now then, Gomez takes his time at the front of the field. Gomez, Mola and Brownlee have a 15-second gap over the chase group. So the medals this afternoon will come from these 3. But what order? Alistair had the best of the sprint finish in Cape Town despite his fall. He'll be keen to avoid any contact with either of his Spanish opponents here this afternoon. And that's the gap to Grajales and to Buckingham, who's managing to stay with Grajales at the moment. Rieder is just ahead of Bowden, and Hernandez is the next one in the current order of play as they get to the end of lap 3. No change at the front. The 2 Spaniards and Alistair Brownlee forcing the pace here. Final lap, so they have 2.5 kilometres to run. Now we know Alistair wasn't feeling at his best at the beginning of the 40k bike as they take the bell. He seemed to come through that period of discomfort and was at least smiling and enjoying the ride by the time he finished his 40k's on 2 wheels. And now he looks in pretty good shape here. Grajales of Mexico with Mark Buckingham of Great Britain. These 2 battling it out for 4th position at this stage. Out in front, Mario Mola in 3rd, Alistair Brownlee ahead of him in 2nd, and the world champion, the incredible Javier Gomez, the oldest of the 3, forcing the pace and moving it up another notch.
Yeah, brings back memories of Cape Town around about this time in the run when we saw Gomez try and make the move, and then Brownlee took it once again and held on to victory. But at the moment, Gomez all full of running and certainly looking the strongest out of the 2 at the moment.
Now Mola, I think, is just struggling to keep the pace. I wouldn't say he's been broken yet, Mario Mola, but he's having to really dig deep and trying desperately to keep on the shoulder of Gomez and Brownlee, and Mola has responded. Courageous response from Mario Mola. Oh, but it might be too late as Gomez and Brownlee